We are live. Hello, welcome to Office Hours, my live stream series. Series is a good word for it. Where I basically just answer questions from viewers, and so I don't get a lot of viewer questions, answer questions from the internet at large. We go on Reddit and we find some questions. I don't like that. I like the dramatic look better, I think. Yeah, oh, it's so dark and spooky. I love these. This is a little tube light from PavoTube, Namlight, PavoTube. It's like $75. What a good deal. It does like RGB and all kinds of cool stuff. And this is set crazy low. We're at what, 7%? And I just like the form factor. I think they have some on sale right now. They have longer ones. I was thinking about getting one, but I'm like, kind of waiting for a few checks to come in before I make any more gear purchases. But you know, it's not all bad right now, money-wise. Anyway, let's get down to business. Okay, so we're gonna go on Reddit because we don't have any questions from viewers. If you've got a question, leave it in the live chat, or if you're watching this on the replay, then drop a comment and I'll do my best to get to it. But for now, we're just gonna go to Reddit and we're gonna answer questions from strangers. So, this first question from r/videography. That's where usually I get most of my questions from. When are you considered a cinematographer versus a videographer? And the question is it when you use a cinema camera or when you shoot for cinema? Honestly, they're both just labels, and I don't think it really matters. I think what does matter is your goals with creating things, with making things. Do you want to make money? Do you want to make art? That really is kind of the big question, I think, because I think if you want to make money, it's easier to make money as a videographer, maybe. A videographer, to me, is more of a one-man band business where you show up with a camera, you document something for somebody, maybe you do some light editing, send it off, you get paid. A cinematographer, on the other hand, would use levels of artistic technique to infuse subtext into the footage. They may or may not work with a crew. So they're kind of just two different ways to do the same thing. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that like gatekeep the idea that like, oh, you're just a videographer. But my response to them most of the time is like, oh, let me see your portfolio. And they've either done basically nothing, or the stuff they have made is like maybe looks pretty, but isn't like a good film. So a lot of them have spicy reels though. So, I mean, that's cool. And they sometimes do cool jobs, but like, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, if you can stomach the trench work, you could get paid really well to be a wedding videographer, and you could work 20 or 30 weekends a year and then, just edit during the week on your own time when you feel like it. And that could be a decent job. You could easily make 50, 60 grand a year doing that. So, next question. Let's see. Find a good question. How do you guys organize all your rig accessories? I have so many small rig parts, batteries, etc. like the rest of you, and I keep them in a backpack. Just curious how you guys organize it. I have a closet behind me, and it's got those like plastic tub things, and it's got a shelf, and that's how I keep like all the weird odds and ends that I don't use every shoot. Everything I use in every shoot is in a Pelican case, and I have separate Pelicans for separate cameras. The FX6 has its Pelican. The FS7 has a Pelican for it. And then if I'm doing DSLR stuff, that usually goes in a bag. But all that stuff is kitted. It's ready to go. It's just like stuff like teleprompters, or if I need a matte box for some reason, or if I need a teleprompter, that's the stuff that lives in the closet. Or monitors. I feel like I'm bringing monitors to shoots less and less, because I don't really mind the FX6's monitor, and it's nice to have that very small form factor. But I do have like 3 monitor kits, so that it's a little bag, it's good to go, grab it and pull it out. You know what I mean? So let's see. Next question. Mist filter versus editing in post. Is it worth skipping the Pro Mist filter and just editing the effect in Premiere? Cheaper and less filter interference with the picture. Also, is it possible to do this with photos in Lightroom? Yeah, but it's going to look fake. That's my take. Unless you're really good and have time. So what you're trading off is like the organic. What do they call? I can't think of man, I can't think of the word. I want to say algorithm, but that's not right. There's like digital and analog. Analog is the word I'm looking for. It gets rid of like the analog feel to it, and there's some sort of, I don't know, gritty realness you can't replicate very well, and it just doesn't feel right. I think most viewers would never notice and would never care, but I think it's easier to just do it on set and not have to worry about it. I feel like this focus is maybe. There you go. Turn off the focus. Anyway, so yeah, you can do it in Premiere. There's a few tricks. If you just like add kind of a haze. I don't know. I think the beauty of a Pro Mist filter is that it really does a pretty good job keeping what you want sharp, whereas doing it in post kind of washes everything, if that makes sense. But the assumption that it's cheaper is incorrect because it's costing you a lot more time. If you want to dial it in and have it look any level good, it's going to cost you way more time in post, which I think is something you should consider. Like, your time is worth something. And Pro Mist filters, in the scheme of things, aren't that expensive. You can get them for under $200, Okay, next question. So the answer is, I mean, you could, but why would you? Okay, help. I've always been interested in videography, but never tried it. I volunteered myself, sort of. I don't know what that means. For a family member's wedding. Would a GoPro 10 work okay, or is it too right at angle? Thanks in advance. No. Don't. No. None of that. If you showed up without telling anybody and you made some stuff with a GoPro and you edited like a video, great. If you told anybody and they have any level of expectations, that's probably going to end badly for you. Like, a wedding is tough. Like, it's a lot of things happening very fast on a schedule that's very loose, and you just, like, GoPro. Okay, so let's just back up. If you're interested in videography, start with like a YouTube channel. Like, start small, learn the basics, and for that, a GoPro 10 probably is okay. But with a wedding, it's like there's so many moving parts, and it all happens only once. And if you only have one camera, you're gonna have a bad time. Is it too wide angle? Not necessarily, because you can like do like digital zoom on the camera, but you're definitely not gonna get tight enough. So you'd have to be like sitting in the front row, and even that. But then you'd also think about the audio, which is not going to be great. So you can do that as long as there's like zero expectations that anything good is going to come from it. But I think you're going to be really disappointed with what comes out of it. That's my take. It's just the camera's not built for that kind of a thing. Like a GoPro at a wedding is like a throwaway angle more than anything. It might be like, so like if you try to do like a weird fun thing that may or may not work and it's only on the screen for like 10 seconds, that's kind of what the GoPros are for at a wedding. Otherwise, you want to use like a real camera, which is like anything that has any level of zoom and audio inputs, because you're going to want good audio. You're going to want to hear what they said. Next question. I'm starting to take on more professional jobs and need somewhere to store files. I've heard things here and there about NAS storage or RAID drives or something. Is there anyone that can point me in the right direction? I've tried researching, but it's very confusing. It kind of depends on what you're doing, I would say. For me, I just use little drives. just have like a whole boatload of them. And then I have big drives. And if I'm working on stuff, I usually keep the cards if I can. I know that the correct way of doing it is to have 2 on-site and 1 off-site. But most of the time, that's not really an issue for me because I think most of my edits turn around so fast. If I was doing anything bigger and longer, I would want the footage at least backed up online. Google Drive is a pretty good option because you can get 2 terabytes for like $10 a month. I know a lot of people like Dropbox, but I hate Dropbox so much. So I'm not going to recommend them because they suck. I hate it. So that would be my recommendation. If you're just kind of starting out, 2 drives, dump the footage on them, and then archive the project files online. And that way you have that saved. Cool. It's a good beginner setup. But you could use a NAS, which is network added storage, which is like a hard drive that plugs into a router. Or you can use a RAID, which a RAID does very similar to what I just explained, except it's like a little box and you copy stuff to one and it automatically copies it and backs it up. And there's some computer magic that happens, but they're very expensive. And if you never have clients that want old footage, because I have obsessed, like just on my desk, I keep so much old stuff. This, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 big ones on the floor that are much bigger than these little ones. Like I probably have, I don't know, like 50 or 60 terabytes of stuff. But if the clients aren't requesting old stuff, you don't really need to hold on to it. And if the contract's not saying that you're going to hold on to it, then there's really no necessity to hold on to it. It's just a good idea to have. So there's that aspect of it too. It kind of depends on what you're doing, what you're filming. If you get in with like a client that's going to hire you regularly, it can be nice to have that old stuff. You know, like if you're doing documentation of events they do, and then they have a fundraiser, it can be really helpful to grab footage from those events and put it in the fundraiser video. So there's that. Camera for filmmaking. Is there any sort of DSLR mirrorless camera with a good mic input, manual audio that I could find for $500? I mean, good. I mean, probably not. Most DSLRs will have like some level of input, but you're not going to want to use the camera audio from a DSLR or a mirrorless. It's just not going to sound great. I always tell people, like, if your budget's that low, you're better off taking that $500 and putting it into an audio recorder and lighting, and then using your cell phone. That's what I would recommend you do. I know it's not a sexy answer, but it's probably a better answer for most people. And then just make a lot of short things that are like a minute, 2 minutes. I feel like a lot of these people like go out and they make these features like first shot, and it just takes them like 2 years, and they just make all these mistakes that they could have made for free by making little short sketchy things. So start with that. Let's see. Do you think camera manufacturers will somehow include a vertical video feature? They already are. A lot of gimbals will now flip the camera for you sideways. I know on my Canon R6, you can change the crop mode in photo mode. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they do something it's 4K, but it's vertical, and then the pixels are just 1920 by 1080 instead of the other way around. Or if it's 1080 by 1920, I always forget which one is the length and which one is the height. So yeah, that's probably coming down the pike. But for now, it's easier to just shoot in 4K and pan and scan. It's what you need, and it's not going to look as good, or you shoot everything twice. And that's always like an unpopular answer when you're doing commercial stuff, and they're like, we need one for Instagram. And you're like, all right, well, these are your options. And they're like, it's going to take twice as long, or it's not going to look as good. And they hate both of those answers. I'm like, well, I guess you might be able to shoot 8K. But that would be just an ungodly amount of space. It would be awful. Commercial for smartphone filmmaking course. It's obvious that their commercial video for their smartphone filmmaking course is not made by a smartphone. Isn't it a bit iconic? I think they meant to say ironic. No, I don't think so. Because I think everybody knows the same idea. It's like, if you could use something better than a cell phone, why wouldn't you? I don't know. That's kind of my take there. What do you charge? Oh, these are the most common questions. There's so many answers. Just wanted to get a sense what other videographers are charging out there. I've been thinking about raising my rates, but I currently charge filming full day $600, half day $425, editing full day $500, half $325, hourly $100 for small edits. For reference, I have 5 to 6 experience and produce medium to high quality work, not cinema level, but 4K. Who cares what that is? Yeah, like people use that as a selling point. And I'm like, it reminds me of like a lot of photographers will do like natural light only. It's like, that's not a selling point. That's just a thing. Like, if anything, it's a negative selling point. If you say you're natural light only, that tells me you don't know how to use flashes. Interview-based slow-mo and drone stuff. My last client was Simon Fraser University, and I mean, no one cares. You're not short on work. If you're not short on work, raise your rates, man. Like, that's my take. I mean, when it comes down to videography, what you charge is dependent a lot on your location. So if I told you what I charge, it's going to be very different from this guy. Because if I'm charging for a full day, it'd be like $1,200-$1,300. But if I'm just the camera operator, or I'm just the grip, or I'm just the swing, it's like $650. So it's like what you're doing and who you're doing it for. And so like the reason I would charge $1,300 for a full day of work is because a full day of work isn't a full day of work. You have all the pre-production that goes into it, and I build that into my pricing. You also have things like kit fees, in a lot of places on sets, your rate will be one thing and then your kit will be a separate rate. And I just kind of bundle it up, which, I mean, in my Midwest area, that's kind of how it's done. But if you are on the coasts, that's not how it's done at all. You have a fee for yourself and your labor, and you have a fee for the kit. And the understanding is that sometimes production will provide some of the gear. Here, that almost never happens, that production has the gear. Sometimes they'll pay for rentals, but most of the time you're kind of expected to have the tools you need. And then I charge my rate regardless if we use my stuff or not, because it's what I know how to use and I'm going to bring it with me. And so if production, shows up and they're like, oh, we have a DSLR, I'm like, let's shoot with my camera. And, every now and then, though, you still have to shoot with someone else's gear. And I don't care for that too much. So, yeah, it varies what to charge based on who the client is and what the actual job is. Like if you're doing sound, if you're doing grip, that might pay less. I think the important things to note when deciding what to charge, I think one of the best pieces of advice I got was either from Zach Arias or from David Hobby, who's the strokist guy. I think it's Zach Arias. And the quote from him was, you can't afford to hire yourself. And so if you think about it from that perspective, it becomes a little easier to charge things. And I think you just have a price. Another person I saw, I think this was on Twitter, gave the advice that they added 5% for every new client they onboarded. And so if you think about that, if you just keep adding, eventually you get pushback. And that's when you've gone too high. And otherwise you just kind of keep adding. And then the other advice I've seen is like, especially if you're just starting out, you probably should just double your rates straight and see what happens. That's kind of a bold move, because if you just double your rates and people push back instantly and then you lose a lot of clients, like that might go bad for you. So there's that. What do you charge? Let's see what some other people are charging. New York City based freelancer, full day, 1,500, editing, 500. Here's the thing about editing. I charge by the hour. I don't do full day, half day because the ADHD in my brain doesn't let me sit down and have a full straight normal workload of editing. Hourly rates. There's a lot of people that don't even do half days, let alone hourly rates. I do hourly because I like to be easy to work with. I feel like that gets me more jobs. This person's Tokyo-based, full day 1,500, editing 65 an hour. It's just interesting that these people are charging a lot more money for their filming rate than they are for their editing, which I guess is common, but it's like a lot less, because $1,500 day would be, I don't know, what's it, like $150 an hour? It's like 65 is like a third, Production, $130 an hour. If it is multiple days, I charge $1,000 day rate. The travel time is always included in this rate. I've seen that. That's another thing. Some people do what's called port to port, which means like from the time I leave my house, that's when the clock starts, to the time I get back to my house. And that you're paying for all of it, which can be important, especially if you live in an area where, like, I live in Omaha and I do jobs other places. You should always bill for time lost, not time spent on a project, because those are two different numbers. DMV area, is that, I always want to say DMV is Des Moines, but I don't think it is. I think that's like DC. That must be DC, Maryland, maybe. Anyway, 1,600 to 1,800 day shooting. Maybe I need to raise my rates. Anyway, I haven't gotten pushback on a client in a long time. So yeah, maybe. And with all the, I've been thinking about that with like inflation being like 10% this year. I'm like, maybe I should up my rates just a little bit. But I feel pretty good with what I make. I feel like I work basically part-time, and I usually come out at around 60, 65 a year, which feels like both a good work-life balance and the jobs are, I feel like I'm charging an appropriate rate. So there you go. Let's see. Questions. These are from r/filmmakers. Let's see. I haven't really looked there for questions. I think I know less about filmmaking than I do about video stuff, but I know a bit. Let's take a look. I need advice as a college student. I'm not sure if this is the right place. You're not in the right place if you're in college for film. But I know I want to do film. It's always been a secret passion of mine, noticing the little details that go in movies, some things that other people wouldn't notice. I love the fine details of making a movie. I just need to know what career would be best for me. If any of you could give me advice, I would greatly appreciate it. That really doesn't give you a lot to work on, man. Or work with, rather. I would say, turn the focus back on. See if it feels better. I would say you should drop out of college, or you should switch whatever your second thing is. So if you're, well, let me walk that back. There's two pieces of advice I would give you. One, drop out of college, bet everything on yourself for the next 2 to 3 years. Depends on how old you are now. If you're 18, I'd say you have till you're 22. Just cut it. Bet on yourself. Get any camera, whatever you can afford, and just start making films. Work at whatever job will have you. That's part-time, low stress, low mental energy. Bonus points if it gives you some kind of opportunities for your filmmaking. And then just make as much as you can, make stuff. So that's advice one. Advice two, especially if someone's paying for your college, stay in college and focus on the second thing. I wouldn't go to film school. I feel like film school is just going to put you on a process that's going to take, you're going to spend a whole semester to make like one thing, whereas you could just be making stuff yourself on the weekends and learning way more practical stuff, doing it that way and trying to get on sets, and then you get paid to learn, which is even better. So focus on the second thing you'd want to do. So if you can't think of anything, you could just go to school for, I don't know, business, because it's really not that hard. Like I graduated with a degree in business and I like barely studied. So there's that. But Option 3 would be do something that could work for filmmaking. And so again, you could do business, you could do accounting, and then that gives you a leg up as a producer or a number of roles on a set in the back end. But also you'll have a lot of connections who will have money who might be able to donate to your future films. So that's the advice for college-bound filmmakers. And make friends with everybody in college and make movies with them. Because that's like your last chance to have like a bunch of people that are sitting around that are bored, that want to do something. And they're like, oh, being in a film, that sounds kind of neat. Because it gets harder as you get older to just find your friends and family and be like, come be in my film. Because they'll be like, fuck that. And they're right. Because like being in a film is not that exciting. Anyway. Oh, the light died on me. It said I had 2 hours. You liar. So this is the first time I've used this till it died. Or been paying attention. Because it still says it has 0.1 hour. Cheeky. Let's go with option B. Ugh. This is the light I use when I make YouTube videos. It's a Yongno 362. Problem is it's way brighter. So I just bounce it usually. Well, that kind of looks nice. Turn up the power just a little bit more. It's way softer. It's way less dramatic. It's more, I feel like the whole image is washed out, but whatever. On we press. More questions. Let's answer them. How long has this been going? I don't even know how long this has been going. Let's review. 26 minutes. Okay. I should have watched what time it was when I started this. Oh, well. Is the FX6 a wise investment for narrative, or is it ENG corporate only kind of camera? I think it's a great camera. I love this camera. This is what I'm shooting on now. Huge conflict right now, whether I should sell out of Sony and go to Canon Blackmagic Red. I mean, the Red is going to be the most cinematic because of the RAW. Blackmagic is going to have reliability issues, and Canon is the same question of like, is it ENG corporate only? What's worse is I'm almost at the top of a wait list for an FX6. I want to invest in a cinema camera, but the FX6 seems like, here's my advice. Get an FX6, and then if you don't like it, you can sell it for more than you paid for it, because these cameras are hot. They're so in demand, and they're so hard to get. I guarantee you can pull it out, you could use it for 100 hours and still sell it for $500 over what the retail price is, and you sell it no problem. You sell it in a day. So that's my advice. If you're already there, get it, and then figure out if you like it or not. Because I'm telling you, these cameras are impossible to get right now. I lucked out getting mine. I feel it's because I have a friend at the camera store, and he was able to sweet talk his Sony rep into getting like one. And I got it. It's me. Make friends with the camera store people. Swear that. Also, they're nice people. Aaron Frey, he's a great guy. If you need anything in Omaha, Nebraska, go to Rockbrook Camera, ask for Aaron. He knows everything. Help with a camera for filming. Mostly with film interviews and docu stuff. We'll need 4K. Would really like 60 frames per second. I've seen some cameras, but they're like 1800. Anything cheaper that's good than 1800? You might be able to get a used FS5, which would be like the FX6's little brother. Some people are saying Panasonic GH5 or A7S. Those would also be good options. The thing with interviews is sometimes they go longer than 30 minutes, so you might want a cinema camera. But yeah, you can get a lot of older model cinema cameras, the FS5, old C100s, that would check your boxes and be a lot more user-friendly because they have XLR inputs, which will let you use better microphones. Although if your budget's $1,800, you're probably not using those better microphones just yet. But you can run them. So, and microphones are super cheap to rent. How can I increase my chances of getting this job? I recently contacted a local production company to ask if they had any roles needing to be filmed on their projects. They responded by saying that they were looking for a freelance assistant editor and asked if I was familiar with DaVinci Resolve. I'm not really sure how to write the response email. I know how to use the program, but I don't know if there's anything else I should say. Any recommendations? just say yes. Say, yeah, I've used that before. And then if you're more familiar with another one, say, but I am more familiar with Premiere or Final Cut. How can you increase your chances of getting this job? The fact that they responded to you at all means you're like 80% of the way there. Like, you're going to get interviewed, and I'm going to guess that they're going to hire you or not hire you based on that interview, which is going to come down entirely to very much the, do I want to work with this person? So don't be a douchebag when you interview, because that's the quickest way not to get in on there. More questions. Aside from California, what's the best state for production jobs? What are some lesser-known production hubs for filmmakers and media folk? I'm looking to move, but prefer to be somewhere more affordable than California. Nowhere. If it's a film hub, it's probably not going to be very affordable. So, like, California sucks, but you can go to Atlanta. But Atlanta has the same problems. Like, it's expensive, there's crime, and the traffic sucks. Like, if you go to Atlanta, like, you are going to have to drive everywhere because they have all these trees that you have to drive around. It's the dumbest thing. I've been there, like, one time to visit, and I remember being like, why does it take forever to drive anywhere? So there's that. Chicago would be an option. New York City would be an option. I don't know if Chicago is probably a little cheaper than California, but probably not by much. So, yeah. Or you can go live somewhere like Houston, which again is expensive. That's really, I mean, you pick your poison with that. Anywhere that's going to be a known production hub. Toronto would be another option, but now you got to go to Canada and immigrate, and that's a whole other can of worms. Anywhere is not going to be much better. California is going to have a lot of benefits that, like, you have the beach and the weather's super nice. The downside of everything else. So, I mean, you could just live further away, which then you're driving even further, and I would not want to do that. Or you can go be a big fish in a small pond and come live in the Midwest with me. And because I get plenty of work, it just depends on what you want to do, I suppose. Because if you want to make films, Omaha, Nebraska is not really the place. Like, people are making stuff, but very few of them are really getting paid anything. Next question. Where can I find videography contests to potentially get rewards? As the title states, where can I find filmmaking contests, etc., to stand a chance in winning some stuff? I currently have time to spare and would like to stand a chance at upgrading my gear, perhaps if I win this. I don't want to ask my parents for money, and although I'd love to work, unfortunately, my country only pays $10 for a day's worth of work. And apparently, he's in Nepal. Yeah, man, awards aren't the path. I would say if your goal is to make money with camera stuff, start a YouTube channel, because you can do it with a cell phone. And if you can be interesting and engaging and make cool stuff, especially if you're in Nepal, which means you'd have a unique point of view, you'd have a lot of unique options. You might be able to get enough subscribers to then have a monetization from YouTube and get some money, although you're in Nepal, so you probably get a little less than people in America. But the other side of the coin is you can make stuff, and if people like it, they will donate to your GoFundMes for you to have budget to make your next one. So that's what I would do. I would get started on YouTube, build an audience, and go from there. Are all V-mount batteries the same? Recently got a Sony S270E. Seems to need a V-mount battery. There are a few Sony models listed in the manual, but online I can find other much cheaper options called V-mount. Will they all fit? Oof. They will fit. The only thing I would be aware of is some of them have different capacities. I don't think any of them would have different voltage. So, yeah, you're probably fine. But they're definitely going to steer you towards the Sony ones, which is fair. Because the Sony ones are probably going to be slightly more reliable in my experience, like buying on-brand stuff with the camera. Like, it's not that much more, especially stuff, mission-critical stuff like batteries. Like, I would not cheap out on batteries. I would not cheap out on memory cards. It's worth spending the extra money, whatever it is, 10, 20% more. Get the Sony memory card, these, whatever these are. I always forget. CF Express or, buy the Sony one. It's worth spending a little extra to get the Sony one for the Sony camera. If it's an A7S, though, any memory card will work, probably. Still buy the nicer ones, though. The SanDiscs. Let's see. Sony A7 II user switching to a Nikon Z5. I would not do that because Nikons, they just don't have the ecosystem meant for shooting video. I don't know why you'd want to switch. You'd have to give me more details about why you'd want to switch. And I would tell you, don't do it. Don't. Let's see. Charging for travel. How would I go about charging? If they wanted me to fly out, would I have them buy my ticket? Do I buy it? You buy it because then you get the credit card points. Do I charge them for each mile? Not sure how this works. There's a lot of ways to do it. The simple way is to charge them the standard mileage rate, which I think for the second half of 2022 right now, it's 65 cents a mile, which adds up to cha-ching. And then I charge people a half day for a travel day because it's my time. I'm taking it. I can't take another job. You have booked me for that time. There are very few exceptions to that. And if I'm buying the plane ticket, they're reimbursing me, or preferably paying me ahead of time an amount that covers that and expenses. But you book your own stuff. Don't ever let production book stuff for you because they're always going to book the cheapest shit and it's going to suck and you're going to hate it and you're going to want to murder them. Book your own stuff. Get your own rewards. That's the big one. Gimbal light fixture. Rather than spend hundreds of dollars on a professional light rig, I was thinking to find a quality lighting fixture that I can screw a regular bulb into and then get a dimmer. You could do that. People do that. I wouldn't do it because it's not gonna. There's so many things wrong with it. It's an option. Is it the best option? No. Don't. You could do that if you're really broke. And then you can use clamp lights and you can put some diffusion on it and then you would just adjust the camera settings as opposed to having a dimmer would probably be the easier way to do it. So that's that. What's the going rate for real estate, videography / photos? Fun story. When I was just getting started, and this is when photography was harder and less common, I applied for a job with a realtor to do their photography. And they told me they paid $10 a house. And I was like, fuck this. That said, I have a friend that does it now. And he does real nice bougie houses. And I don't know what he charges, but it's definitely way more than $10 a house. But his photos are awesome. His name's Daniel Muller. Great guy. Next question. Pull these out. Coming back. Next question. What gear to rent? Hi guys, I've been doing property photography for a few years with direction more to the kitchens and bathrooms. All right. A couple of times I was asked to provide some videos along with the photos, and I've used my iPhone with gimbal, and it was all right, nothing special, but expectations were matching the finished product, so that's fine. One of the company that gets me to photograph their bathroom projects wants a video as well now, but they are expecting high quality. iPhone vids came out grainy. I'm going to rent out a camera for this for stills. So I'm using a Canon 60. I was thinking of renting the Sony A7 III, similar to Canon. Get the Canon R6, because if you're familiar with the Canons and stick with the Canons, it'll be fine. Little rig bracket to get smooth shots, and I should be fine. I can do what I need. I would get the Canon R5 or R6, and then some lights, and then a tripod, and then do some pan tilts, some zooms, details. A gimbal could be nice too, if you know how to use one and you're doing it good. You could also get a slider, would be nice, but I guess any gimbal could do slider shots, kind of. Next question. How long have we been going? Hit refresh on those. 39 minutes. I feel like I'm losing steam, but it was a really long week this week. I did so many things this week. I shot like 7,000 photos, which is just like, ugh. And I went to like 10 events. 10 events, 2 corporate jobs, 3 corporate jobs, and a church service. So long week. That's like 2 jobs a day for a whole week. It was awful. I made some YouTube videos in the meantime. I'm trying to make shorts. I'm trying to make a lot of shorts. I'm trying to make 50 shorts, and then I'm gonna back off and do like 1 a week. But I'm out. I made like a bunch, and now I'm out, and now I need to get back into, because shorts have been growing my channel pretty good, and they're pretty easy to do, even when I don't feel like making anything. I can like think of something that takes a minute to talk about. Because I got a lot of really, I was gonna say really dumb advice, but like, no, all my shorts have been actually pretty good, solid advice, like stuff I wish someone would have told me like a lot sooner. Anyway, next question. Let's see, discussions. Are you passionate about video? Not particularly. I don't know. A few years back, I turned my video hobby into a business. I started in weddings and then moved on to corporate shoots. I soon lost the excitement of video making and realized I was happier when it was just my hobby. The money was okay as far as the job is concerned, but then I fell into a very profitable industry that afforded me much more time off, and videography once again became my hobby. I'm a lot happier now. Making videos is an option instead of a requirement. Similar experiences. Are you still trying to climb the ladder? Are you looking for a way out? I would say this YouTube channel is my escape plan, so to speak, from it. Not because I don't like doing it. I still really like doing it. It's just the inconsistency I hate. And having a YouTube channel means I can just be making stuff when I want to be making stuff, which is most of the time. Oof, gassy. Stevia makes you gassy. Yeah, so I don't need a client. I don't need someone to call me. I can just start making stuff. I have a couple other YouTube channels that are already making money, so I would like this channel to also make money, because I think theoretically this channel might be a little more stable on the income department, and it would also afford me the opportunity for people to send me stuff, and then I can review it and be like, free stuff, because who doesn't want free stuff? But also I really like helping people, and I really like doing the whole mentor thing, and it really drives me up the wall when people don't know what they're doing on set. So if I can help and get paid in the process, well, that's just win-win. Also, I've been having a lot of health issues because I got the diabetes, and I've had like some foot ulcers and stuff, and that makes me worried for the future of like what happens if I get a foot ulcer again and then I shouldn't work for a month or two. I'm going to be off my feet. I don't love the editing aspect of things, so it's like going that route is just not for me. So it's just kind of looking at alternatives to kind of hedge my bet, but I will make videos until I can physically no longer do it, because I just love doing it. So I guess it's my passion, but my advice towards people that are feeling burnt out, do more personal work, because if you're doing personal work, I think that's the big thing, is that to have job satisfaction, we need autonomy, we need mastery, and we need a sense of purpose. So if your clients are all like corporate clients, like your sense of purpose is going to be like, oh, it made some fucking rich guy richer. Like, who cares? And if you don't have autonomy and like your clients are giving you notes and they're bad notes, and you're like, that's a bad idea, I don't want to do that, you're going to hate your life. And mastery, like with this, you can like reach a ceiling, a plateau very quickly. And then it's like you get too tired to practice and get better. So it can be hard to feel a sense of progression, and you end up doing a lot of the same sort of shoots. So like the challenge kind of wears off as it's just another one of those, and then it feels kind of like trench work. So that would be my advice, is to find some side hobby, like not hobbies, side hobbies, but side projects that you can do that you're passionate about, for like a local nonprofit where you can just do whatever you want, where they're just like happy to have anything. That's my advice. Or just start shooting more weird stuff and telling clients just, I think Mel Brooks said it. It's like when they give you the notes, say yep, and then don't do it. This just says, is it just me? Is it just me? Hi, everyone. I wanted to see if anyone has experienced the same situation as I am in now. Have you trained, gone to school for videography, done numerous shoots, and researched independently only to find out you don't even like videography? No, that didn't happen to me. And there's some people commenting like, it used to be my passion. I'm like, yeah, because the reality of the job is like, it's not super exciting. Like, like you get maybe less than 5 shoots a year that are like really cool, and your friends are like, whoa, I'm so jealous. And then the rest of them are just boring. They're just boring corporate shit. And you're just like, all right. But that's like every job. Some jobs don't even have the 5 cool days a year. This is still better. Not every, every job sucks. So deal with it. I don't know what to tell you. Anything you do, you'll get tired of eventually. Okay. What should my in-house lead videography salary be? This is a huge thing. Currently, I'm an in-house videography for a smaller real estate mentorship company. What the fuck is that? Since working for this company, I realized that there's a lot of hats that I have had to wear in order to accommodate to the company's needs. Then he says, videography, the work, shoot, edit content, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, color grade footage, photographing events, organize. You're not just a videographer anymore. You are a communications person. Organize and backup Google Drive as well as Office Nest Drive. Set up, shoot, Office podcast in video form for YouTube. Direct video team members and keep track of projects. Adding show notes to podcast episodes. Why aren't you like... You have a team, so why aren't you... I can't think of the word for that. I'm tired. It's been a long week. I want to say diversifying, but that's not the right word. Delegating. D words. Why aren't you delegating some of these tasks? Because a lot of that is like low effort stuff that you as the lead person should not be dealing with unless you have a boss. So this person's saying adding show notes, managing social media platforms. What? That's an intern job. Posting the video content to the company's social media platforms. That's an intern job. 2 Instagram Reels, TikToks to all social media platforms per day. That's somebody on your team could do that. Create captions. You're just... What are you getting paid? Are you complaining? Okay. This is a full-time position with no benefits currently besides PTO. Says he is not a detailed person. He is just a visionary. Fuck right off. Everybody that says that. How much should you be charging? No benefits. I'm curious what they're making. Because if he's got a team, you need to delegate. You need to start learning how to delegate stuff. Because you shouldn't be doing half this shit if you're like the tall man on the totem pole. Because you should be focusing on the higher value things. What this job is worth, $90,000 a year. If someone offered me this job and they were like, what would it take to get you there? To do that, I would need to be over 100. And with no benefits, it would have to be over 120 for them. But for, the general public, 90,000. Anything less than 90,000 is not worth your time to do this. That's what I would say. And there's a lot of places out there that would make you do this workload and then give you like $40,000. Fuck that. Say no. Go do anything else. Go be a freelancer. You can make $40,000 as an entry-level freelancer. No problem. I promise you. You can do it. So yeah. To lock me down 9 to 5, yeah, over $100,000 easily. And that's probably not realistic, which is why I don't have a 9 to 5 job. Because I would hate that. I would hate that so much. Cold emailing for work. When cold emailing companies to offer videography services, what are some important points to include? What do you usually put? Yeah, I wouldn't even bother. That's the worst way. If you're cold emailing to get paid work, it's gonna go badly for you. The best way, if you're just starting out, just go make stuff. Find nonprofits that you really like and are like super underfunded and be like, can I make a video for you? And then network and build your network and work on crews and do that kind of stuff. Like cold emailing, it's like you have to hit the lottery for a cold email to work, because like chances are like any corporation that needs video work either has an in-house person or has like a list of vendors, and like they might be like, we'll add you to the list, and you're like bottom on the list of like 10 people. Like you're never getting a phone call, and that's if they even see it, answer it, or if you even emailed the right person. Like it's not a winning proposition. Like you have to build a network, and so it's easier for you to go be a PA for somebody and work and do that kind of stuff and build your network as a crew member than it would be trying to go out as a one-man band in the commercial world. That said, there are a lot of vendors that will provide like press kits and reels to like advertising agencies. That might be a little better way to go about it. But that takes a lot more effort than a cold email. So consider that. Where are we at here? 51 minutes. I think let's try to find one or two more. No call good? Let's see. My video is being used as an ad without my permission. A couple of years ago, I shot some concert video for a fairly big artist. That artist is coming back to my city, and I've just found the Instagram page of a promoter who is using my video as an ad for the show. They've just put their own text over it. I've already messaged and explained that they should have given credit and asked for permission, and also requested they move the video. I'm typically pretty chill, but this kind of thing gets under my skin. No response from them yet, but I can only hope they cooperate. Seems like they do this pretty often. Any similar experiences, suggestions? Send a takedown notice to Instagram and figure out a way to get over it, because like that, the promoter is not making any money off of your video. They don't see what they did is wrong. It's one of those things where like, if you hadn't seen that, does it negatively affect you? Like who even owns the video? You shot some concert video for a fairly big artist. Did you shoot the video for the artist? Because maybe the artist just provided them with the footage. Like there's that aspect of it. There's a lot of details left out here, but I think the unpopular opinion, and my girlfriend hates it when I say this, is like, people, if you're making stuff, people are going to steal it. And you can spend all day whacking moles and being like, took that down, which does nothing for you except cost you time. So there's that. Like, do you want to spend all day policing your stuff, or do you just want to figure out a way to like let it go? Realize they're not, most of the time, not making any money off of it. So who cares? Like, they're not going to pay you. You're not going to get a lawyer because you don't have the money for it. So like, what's to gain? You know, like, fuck, who cares? Leave it up, take it down, send them a message. I mean, you send them a message, they didn't take it down, they didn't respond. You could be like, hey, the least you could do is let me in for the concert for free if you want to see it again. And I know that's not the right way to do things, but like it's a new world. Things are just getting stolen all the time. If you go on YouTube, like there's so many movie clips and YouTube videos, and it's just like the movie studios don't have the resources to fight it. Like, why? You know, the people that are really good at the business have decided it's better to just let some stuff go. And if it's just on Instagram, and it's not like, when would I get mad is like if they took the concert video I shot for them and they were selling a DVD of like only my footage, then I'd be pretty pissed off if I didn't get paid. But how would that even happen? You know what I mean? So that's my hot take on that. It's just let it go, man. Like, it's not worth the effort. It's not worth the headache. Figure out how to get over it, because it's going to happen again. I promise you. It's going to happen so many times. 2-camera interview setup. What focal length? It depends. What is your preferred focal length for each camera? An 85 for one, usually, because I love my 85 lens. It's a Sigma Art 85 1.4. And then it just depends on the background. It could be probably 35 to 70. It just depends. It depends. Is it where I'm at, where they are, what the background is? I don't go in with one setting. Except for I like the 85 millimeter. It goes on the FS7 a lot, and then that's it. And then the other one's a 7200 or 24 to 70, depending on what I'm trying to shoot. Last question. I think this is going to be a lot like the one I just answered. Rappers' videos on channel. When I started years ago, I did a lot of music videos and posted the videos on my channel. Well, clients are buying views on my no longer cinema work, YouTube. I always gave the client the files and always encouraged them to start their own YouTube channel. Well, now clients bought views on the videos on my channel, and I got a copyright strike on another video, separate client. So I'm taking them down. Plus, the channel is no longer used to show my video work. Tell my clients I can provide private links as well as new file copies. Is it reasonable request clients don't buy views on your channel when posts on your channel were never meant to be the video's source channel? Is it a reasonable request? Now, why did you upload them on your channel anyway? That's my question. Is like, don't do that, because your clients are always. There has been times where I've sent clients like proofs on YouTube, and they've just used that and like they've embedded it into their website, and I'm like, what the fuck? Don't ever upload it to your YouTube like that. If you do upload it to YouTube, lock it all down, make it unlisted, so like them buying views doesn't do anything for them. Like, don't put work on YouTube unless you want it. Like, I don't know, on my channel I have like a couple of music videos that I made like a long time ago. I'm thinking about taking those off because it's not kind of like the work I do. But don't do that. Take them down. Is it a reasonable request that clients don't buy views on your channel? Yeah, if you're worried about your channel getting demonetized for it, then like don't risk it. Don't put your views. So it's a reasonable request from your point of view. It's an unreasonable request from their point of view because they don't see what they did is wrong. They think they're helping you. So you need to educate them that YouTube doesn't like that, and YouTube can see. And if they're buying views, they're only hurting themselves. But it's all vanity metrics anyway. So it's not worth it to them, and it hurts your channel. Just delete those videos. That's what I would do. And they're like, whoa, bro, what happened to my videos? They're going to be mad. That's the one downside is they already paid for the video views. So they're going to be mad about it. Sorry, bro. I don't know. That's a no-win situation. So I think I would just unlist the videos. And the one that has a copyright strike for whatever reason why it has a copyright strike, I'm not sure. And then tell them, be like, hey, you need to upload your own stuff because I'm going a different way with my YouTube channel. And then you call it good. So there you go. There you have it. That is office hours for 7/24, July 24th. Oh, now I see a timer. I almost went an hour. This is the longest office hours so far. I think an hour is the most I can talk for before my voice starts to like it. Maybe I should get a tea or water instead of drinking soda. Yeah. So thank you for watching. I'm gonna keep making some shorts, and then I'm gonna get back to making tutorial videos again. I haven't done that in a while, and I think some of those. The problem is like I feel like I put a lot of effort into those, and some of them do pretty good, and then some of them have like less than 10 views, and I'm like, okay, well. Half of the reason I was making the tutorials was for myself anyway, of like things I don't do often and I need to remember how to do. And I don't want to go watch YouTube tutorials because a lot of YouTube tutorials are way too long and I can't sit through 20-minute explanation for something that should take 30 seconds to explain how to do. So I hope you're doing well. And if not, I hope that turns around for you here real soon. And I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. If you're watching the replay and you have a question, drop it in the comments, and I would love to get to it as soon as I'm able. So that said, have a good one. I'll see you next Sunday, hopefully. We'll see, because I'm shooting a music festival next weekend, so I might be like way too tired and be like, no, I'm not doing that. So anyway, love you. Bye.